Fulfillment. Fulfillment is a specific emotion that is the godliness within duality. Okay, the godliness within singularity is peace. Doesn't require you to do anything or go anywhere. You just got to be okay with everything. That's it. That's it. Fulfillment, however, requires you to do a very specific something to someone else. It requires you to do something to someone else that is actually a need that you had as a child that you didn't get. So I speak quite well today, but I stuttered as a child. So I had a need growing up to be able to express myself verbally that never happened. And now I'm able to feel fulfilled while fulfilling this need that never, ever, ever gets met. Yeah? So if you look at your life, what's ultimately going to be your purpose is when you can find, you've gravitated towards it your whole life, by the way, when you can do something that is actually giving to other people that which you were denied growing up. For some people it's unconditional love. For other people it's nurturing. For other people it's structure. For me it was principles of life. No one taught me about life and I always wondered about it. Is this making sense, guys? Now, the reason that the breakthrough experience works is because of the structure or the anatomy of the soul within your body. So, according to the law of gender, a male aspect, your soul, came into your body, female, and what got created is your mind. This corresponds to the 3 levels of why, how, and what. I don't know if you've seen a guy called Simon Sinek on TED. He speaks about how leaders inspire action. Amazing, amazing TED talk, and he uses the golden circles. He talks about a why, a how, and a what. The why over here would be the level of soul, micro and macro. The reason, intention for being, or the reason behind an action. The how would be the delivery system, and the what would be the actual action or the experience. So to put that into, let's say, a meal, if the what was a salad, the how was with healthy ingredients, and the why is because my health is important to me and eating healthy is important to me. It's a value. All right? It could also be something not so cool. The what could have been a left hook. Sorry, the what could have been a punch. A how would have been a left hook. And a why is because he just wouldn't listen. You with me? Everything can be brought down to a why, a how, and a what. When people are battling with a what, something that's going on in their lives, sometimes all that we need to do is refine the why. Because once the why is in place, everything expresses from the why because it's the level of soul. And this is not new. If you've heard of logotherapy by a guy called Viktor Frankl, he wrote a book called Man's Search for Meaning. This is exactly what he spoke about. That if you have a strong enough why, you can endure any how and any what. His why for him during the Holocaust was his family. And he just kept on thinking that he could be united with his family one day. And that was his why for being. And he could endure any how and any what. The differences between these 2 parts of our being is that the soul part is the part that has a personal truth that was shaped by your wounding as a child. Yeah, so whether every person knows what their personal truth is, or what the truth that they're not speaking, or the truth that they're not living. It's always there. It's there for you. I don't like to use words like higher self because city slickers just click off. We switch off when we hear things like higher self if it's something that you haven't been pondering on. But personal truth is something that every single person knows where a value of theirs is being challenged in life and where you've sold out. And that's how accessible this topic of personal truth is. Your personal truth is guided by your values, and your values are always, always from inside. They're always internal. This part, however, the part that is your egoic mind, the part of your mind that's creating identity, it's completely subject to these laws, right? So it's got deductive reasoning, it's got a negative slant towards the self, and it builds a model of reality based on pleasure and pain. The thing about the ego, yeah, it just means I in Latin. Ego just means I in Latin. And every time you say I like this, I like that, I don't like this, I don't like that, what's going on is a part of your mind is making the self-image of this I that you keep on talking about, that doesn't like things and does like things. And this image over here is called the self, the I, the ego. That's all it means. But this I is looking for identity. And the way that it does that is, like I explained before, is through deductive reasoning. If I have this, then I will be whatever I think everybody thinks it is. And this is all physical stuff. That's all external. So the list, yeah? If I have that car and not that car, then I will be whatever. If I have this house and not that house, then I will be whatever. If I have this partner with that body, then I will be whatever. If I have this body, then I will be. If I have these clothes, if I have this story, if I have this job, if I have this holiday, then I will be. And so we spend a big part of our time following goals that we thought were worthy of our time and of our efforts, that were actually illusions because we thought that we were chasing something external. Right? But when you're able to flip the pleasure and pain to understand that this is not an axis of sensation, but it's an axis of teacher or motivation, then you have a rearrangement here. And remember what I said about transformation a couple of days ago? Transformation is when there is a rearrangement of priorities or values that results in a change of routine. It's when you get to do a whole bunch of things that have a different experience to the one that you're currently doing. Now, where does this all originate from? It all originates from your personal way of being, your personal archetype, the ones that we did on the very first coaching session.